Gang stalking can manifest a lot of different ways. I've talked about that. You can't isolate it to one group or one method because it can happen in many different areas and by many different types of scenarios and groups of people. But the one thing that all targeted individuals wonder about is why. People seem to be obsessed with harassing them, with watching them, with meddling in their business. What is it? Why? I think a lot of people I think they get addicted to it. I do. I think that's, their way of feeling in control. It's their way of feeling powerful. People are victimized in a lot of different ways. They feel like they're at the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak. However it works, and not all stalkers are victims of gang stalking. They could be victims of a lot of different things. And when someone uses that type of control and methodology of harassment on someone, they really mess someone's life up, and it gives them a sense of power. And I think people that do that are pretty miserable. And I've talked about that before. They could be doing anything with their time and money, and instead of being productive or helping someone or whatever, they have chosen to be a menace to you and to anybody else that's on their list. They have become that negative force in your life. They've become, the fingers of the devil to poke you and to provoke you and, to push you over the edge. And I've talked about how reckless this stuff is. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know what somebody's going to do. You don't know if they're going to get depressed and hurt themselves, or somebody else are going to freak out on somebody because they're at the end of their, rope. And it's just, one straw too many on the camel's back and they flip out. Or, maybe they're just distracted thinking about all this stuff and they get into a traffic accident. Kill the family in a compact car or something, or whatever. And a lot of targeted individuals have to take medicine because they get stressed. And a lot of times they become addicted to that stuff. And a lot of it, it's impairing. And you get out there, you start driving around, you could kill somebody that way too. There's a lot of different things. I know one guy, he started taking Ambien. I used to take that stuff, and it used to be a lot stronger than it is now. They dulled it down quite a bit. It used to be really strong, man. And this guy woke up in somebody else's house urinating in their closet, man. That's how, because I guess he was just sleepwalking. And I guess a lot of people have that weird side effect to it, I never found myself walking around, doing anything on it. I don't know. I have a real high tolerance for that kind of stuff. But, who knows what could have happened. That was a pretty weird story, I guess. But, a lot of things can happen. And it's very reckless. You never know who's going to get hurt. So, a lot of the people that do this stuff, they'll sit back and say, well, we didn't do anything, Well, how do you know what kind of chain reaction you're going to set off? How do you know what kind of butterfly effect is going to happen? This is a picture of me after a delivery. I'm doing DoorDash now quite a bit. And, the people were wondering, what are you doing out there? Anyway, I said, I just wanted to see if you were happy with your food. No, I'm just kidding. That's not me. A lot of people are getting paid. And I mentioned this guy before. This is that Camaro that I talked about in those other videos And, the guy, I caught him running around my house, and there was all kinds of evidence. And anyway, somebody was under the trailer, and they were, it happened just about every night at first. And I would lay down to go to sleep, and after about 15 or 20 minutes, boom, somebody would start hitting the floor. And then, of course, I'd get up, and I'm crippled, and I'd go out, and the siding would be messed up, and they'd be gone. Okay? And, it was pretty ridiculous. And anyway, this guy lives across the trailer court, and my family had said that he told them that I was selling drugs. And, of course, I said, well, how do you know him? You don't even live in this city. What are you talking about? And they of course, they knew that was a mistake. And so then they said, well, no, the landlord said that he told the landlord, and then we talked to the landlord. I said, well, you told me you didn't know who that was either. And so that it was obvious something was going on there. And they also, the landlord had said that he said I was shooting guns in my yard. Right? And I told you guys all about that stuff. And so anyway, all of a sudden, and he didn't have a job or anything, by the way. He didn't have a driver's license because he's, usually got warrants for his arrest or on probation. And you can't get into an auto loan without being able to get insurance. You can't get insurance without a driver's license and all that chain reaction stuff. And so anyway, I'm like, how did this guy get a Camaro? Right? And he got a van and everything too. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I talked to this guy, and he was a little drunk that night. His wife was sitting next to him. And they're like, oh, we don't have anything going on. And I said, how'd you get all the money? What happened? And I thought he'd be smart enough to tell me a relative died or something, but no. And, and he said, oh, banging around under a trailer. So obviously, and then his wife got nervous too. And I said, oh, really? And he knew he screwed up. And I said, so what were you doing? And he's like, oh, well, we're just working on it. I said, really? So, how much that car cost? And he wouldn't tell me. But I know that it looks in really bad shape right there. He still can't get a license plate. He can't fix the window or anything. And, the guy can't, I mean, it's basically getting ruined, which is karma as far as I'm concerned. Because, what an idiot. He can't even fix the window. And you know what? I'd help him out. If he helped me after all the stuff that's happened, I would grant him immunity if possible and give him a huge amount of money, and from being able to sue these people if he would just help me. But whatever. And so anyway, this guy, I said, well, you did a bunch of work, and we're talking about a van and that car, which was no less than $15,000, just the car, and some cash. So you're looking at quite a bit of money, and I'm like, so you got clients now? You're making that much in cash. I said, are they going to have you back to work for them next year? Well, no. And I said, well, how much money did you pay in taxes on it? And he's, well, I didn't pay any taxes. And I know that was, if you get work done on your property, I don't care who you are, you're going to write it off. On your taxes, you're going to report that. Everybody does. It's a reality. And so I caught him in a bunch of different lies. His wife was really nervous at that point. And, like I said, I caught him out there running around at night and during the day. And there's other things I'm not even going to go into. But people do. They get paid. They get paid to stalk you. And that guy probably got at least, 25, maybe even $30,000 or more. Who knows? Who knows? But, there was a bunch of different slip-ups on that. And it is what it is. You got people that are like that. They have strange dispositions and they have strange circumstances. In that case, the guy, he just couldn't hold a job, right? So something like that really appeals to somebody who's, having a hard time financially and, isn't really somebody who can hold a job or employable or whatever. And, a lot of people, they have, things that they're trying not to get garnished. And under the table work is idyllic, for somebody like that. However, they want to try and put it in their bank account, which is going to be a lot harder, now that they want to, monitor everything, $600 and up. But they want more than that, actually. They want to take control of your whole bank account. Watch everything, every little nickel that you spend. But, these people, they have reasons for doing what they're doing. And, depending on what you're dealing with, people are getting employed and they're getting money out of it. There's a monetary motive for this stuff. And I think other people have a social dynamic. They want to fit in. They might not even agree with what's happening. They might even have sympathy for you. But they're not going to go against, the powerful, mechanism that's out there. And it is powerful. And I've talked about that before, too. There's people that know about this stuff. They might not be involved, but they know about it. I've run into them. I've been doing this for a long time. And, there's people that, they know how to keep their mouth shut. It's a way to survive. It's a type of conformity, I guess. But, they're not involved in that. And I've been around people before that claim to know nothing about, basically everything. They don't have opinions. I've worked with a lot of people. And there's one gentleman in particular that, he would never talk about anything weird ever. He was always, just, doing what he's supposed to be doing, and, very compliant, a model member of society. And one day he said some stuff to me out of the blue when nobody else was around. And I was like, and, he wasn't, harassing me or anything like that. But, it basically let the cat out of the bag that this guy knows way more than he's letting on about a lot of stuff, including that. Okay. And I was pretty surprised, but it was educational for me. And I've seen a lot of things like that, at first when I was a new victim of harassment, I didn't know. I mean, all victims of gangstalking go through that stage where they think that, they're just the odd person out of some type of clique or, a group, a secret society out there that, they get together and put you up on the list of targets and, there's a big room somewhere and they all connect on the internet. I don't think it's like that at all. But you don't know. I mean, you might as well be for the weird stuff that people have to deal with. And it wouldn't, it's probably weirder than that. And it is. We're not going to go into that area. But, you just don't know. And then you run into people who they believe it's only the government or only a secret society or the cult. And then they get harassment from an angle they didn't suspect, from someone that couldn't possibly be affiliated with these groups of people that they suspected were in control of it. And then it's, it rocks your world. That happened to me. And I was like, whoa, what's this? I know this person's not affiliated with the government or, wow, this is getting creepy. And it does. It goes to a deep spiritual level. And that's the next area. That people are influenced demonically. In my opinion, that's just what I believe. And I believe that that's their motivation, that, otherwise, they probably, wouldn't even be involved in it. Some people, I think, when you get into those, stranger scenarios that like Zeph Daniels talks about, where people seem to have no memory of incidents that they may be confronted with or whatever. And I'm not trying to remove culpability from people, but I think sometimes that happens. I do. I think that, it's probably a lot rarer than, a lot of people think, because I think people are probably, critiqued in a way a lot of times to where they're, maybe sadistic or psychopaths or whatever, and they can get involved in it without having that type of coercion. But it does definitely happen. And, if you're one of those targets that's getting harassed, in all those different areas and you just can't seem to get away from it, there's definitely that spiritual motivation. And those are some of the reasons for stalker obsession. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.